really suited to my teaching style. I really like to ask questions and hear from you guys, but if everyone talks all at the same time, that's kind of strange and no one can tell anything. But if I'm the only one talking, that's also strange for me too. It's a strange situation. John, I like your background. Thank you. So how was spring break? Spring break was good. Thumbs up. So. Spring break is a little too long. And so we're making the best of an unprecedented situation, right? Our first spring break was good. Mrs. Schnitzius made a raised vegetable garden and I helped her with that. We did some work around the house. We were gonna go camping, but it rained for like 12 days in a row. And it's about to rain for 9 days in a row starting tomorrow. So go outside and go for a walk and do something that will brighten your spirits, as long as you're not touching other people, right? Social distancing is important. Be safe. So everybody's safe. Everybody's good. Everybody have what they need. If that stops being the case, or you guys need anything, I want to be here as a resource for you. The school wants to be there as a resource for you. So it would be really weird for me to be like, all right, let's just get back right into what we've been doing. Let's start with the next lesson, because I haven't seen you all in almost a month now, and I miss you, and I wish that we weren't doing things like this, but it is what it is, right? So let's all take a deep breath before we get going. Ready? Let it out. I haven't started teaching yoga yet, although sometimes I feel like I could, and that would be pretty fun. So before we get into stats, I wanted to kind of talk to you about what's going on at school, and then what's going on with AP, and then what's going on in this class. So I think it's appropriate that I share with you what I know in this class, because I've told you all a bunch of times, in AP statistics, we can know nothing, right? All we can know is, or all we can say is that we have evidence for certain things, right? So I know very little right now, but maybe if I share with you what I don't know, and then we ask questions, I can pass those questions along to the higher ups, and we can improve our knowledge together. Right now, we're not sure how grades are going to work. I put that in the first letter that I sent you guys. That doesn't mean that you should not be doing things. Hopefully you've heard from your other teachers about what the situation is for those classes. Thank you for being here right now, even though you're not getting a grade for this. We'll look at the calendar that I laid out for us together here in a second. This is a very unexpected, unprecedented situation, right? So we're gonna do the best that we can. I'm doing the best that I can. I know that y'all are doing the best that you can. No one really expected this to happen, and so we're all just gonna be patient with each other and have a growth mindset and learn, hopefully not for next time, because hopefully nothing like this will ever happen again, but just learn some patience and some being ready to roll with the punches, because things happen in life, right? And you can't always control them. You can control your reaction though. So the questions that I heard the most about when I reached out to some of your parents were prom and graduation. We don't know how those are going to work right now. The school district has not made a decision about those, because if they make a decision now and they put everything in motion and then things change and we get to come back sooner than we thought, then that would just be more work for everybody. So once I know something about that, I will be sure to pass that along to you. All the math teachers had a call with Miss Smith this morning, one of the assistant principals. She said if you have suggestions for graduation, maybe pass them along. I've never planned a graduation. You seniors, maybe you have an idea of what you would like your graduation to be like if it ends up being modified. So feel free to pass that along to me, and I'll pass that along to Ms. Smith, or tell Ms. Smith directly. what we found out today is our governor has said we will be doing this kind of virtual online situation until May 4th, Star Wars Day. So May 4th is the beginning of AP testing. So what that means is all of your reviews for your AP tests are going to be online. That's not ideal, but I'm going to show you some of the resources that we have for AP stats here in a little bit. Listen to your other AP teachers and what they're telling you to do. If you're a senior, the school knows that you need the credits that you are signed up for in order to graduate. That's the case at least for government and at least economics, right? So there is going to be a plan for how you're going to get your grades and your credit for that class. They just don't know what that is yet. So graduation is going to be different. As long as you take care of your business, you will graduate. It might not look exactly like you thought it was going to, and we're all sorry about that, but just hang on, and once I know more about that information, I'll pass that along to you. Okay, so first stopping point, questions about what's going on with the school. Questions, I'm unmuting you. No questions is fine. If you do have a question or you think of something later, send me a reminder, send me an email, and I'll get that passed on to everybody else. All right. Rock on sign there. I like that.
Are you on Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Samantha.
What?
What are you doing on your phone then?
Do you have a question, Samantha? Samantha, I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear you. If you want to put something in the chat, you can do that too. Hey, everyone. There's the chat over here. Okay. So down at the bottom, you can look at the chat there. Okay, so for the College Board, news from the College Board. There are going to be videos for every AP test. Oh yes, Sam's question. Are AP exams still online? The answer to that question is yes. Sam, you timed that perfectly. That's the exact same thing that I was going to say. So supposedly they're going to have more information on Friday about how AP exams are going to work. I'm going to mine that for information and send it out to you if there's new information and kind of highlight what the most important parts are on there. So what they've said right now is even if we go back and even if we're at school on May 15th, the day of the AP statistics exam, we will still take the AP test on our computers. It will be 45 minutes long and it will be all free response questions. How exactly that is going to work and how they are going to make sure that the test is secure, I do not know. They've said the AP party line is, hey, we've done testing from home a lot. We do that for a capstone. Question in my mind is like, grading a presentation is different than grading students' free response questions. And so I don't know how that's going to work. I've helped students get ready for AP exams this is my 7th year teaching this class. My students have done very well. I've never gotten them ready for a 45-minute test or a test that was online or a test that was all free response. So we're all just kind of figuring it out together. Have you guys seen raise your hand if you've seen the live stream that all the AP classes are doing. Live stream for all the classes. Okay, I'm gonna send that out once they start going over topics that are going to be covered on the AP exam this year. All of AP statistics is supposed to be 9 units. They chopped off the last 2 units. So the AP exam this year is only going to be from units 1 to 7. Thank you, College Board. That was nice of you to do. So that means that we've covered everything. So now we're just going to have like 6 weeks to review. Are we still going to finish learning the content that is not on the exam? There are units available over that. that could be something that we do after the AP exam, but I think in order to maximize our AP exam potential, we are going to think about that after the AP exam is done. Is that the answer you wanted, Olivia, or is that not the answer you wanted? We can sidebar about that. Yes, this if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, good. If you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, go for it. This Zoom group chat is working pretty well. Well, see, I'm not supposed to type and say what I'm typing to. I think that's everything that I wanted to say about the AP exam. So go to your Google Classroom if you can. Go on over to Google Classroom. And I can show you Google Classroom at the same time when I do share screen. Okay. So can everybody see Google Classroom right now? Good. Okay. So I sent you out remind messages about this, but just to make sure that we're all on the same page, here is the calendar for where you should be on a certain day through the online review that we're going to go through together. I'm going through this with you. I'm recording all of these videos and working all the problems to make sure that I get the right answers in future years. The College Board has commissioned daily review sessions, and one of the teachers that's teaching those daily review sessions is named Luke Wilcox. He is one of the people that put together all this stats medic business that we've been using this year. So this should be very, very closely aligned to what is going to be on the AP test this year. I'm going to be paying very careful attention to what College Board says and making sure that we highlight what topics we need to be sure that we pay attention to. So if you're keeping up with this, then whenever we come to these Zoom classes, we'll be going over what you've already learned in here and hitting some free response questions and asking questions. If you have any questions at any time, y'all, please email me. Please send me a remind message. I hope that I made my classroom a welcoming place for you this year. So, you know, my door is always open, except you can't necessarily come in through that door because you don't know where I am in North Richmond Hills. So instead of coming to my classroom at lunch or something, you're just gonna have to email me. I'm sorry, that it is what it is, right? But if you'd like to wait and come up with a question for us to all go over together in one of these Zoom sessions, that would be great. There will be a more structured time for when we're meeting coming soon. All the teachers are trying to coordinate so that my time isn't the same as Brinker's, isn't the same as Mr. Brooks. I am recording this right now and we'll post it on Google Classroom. So if you miss one of our times together, then go back and look for it on there. So hopefully you've gone through everything there in Unit 1. If you haven't, I'm encouraging you to get on that. We'll have some time to ask questions about that here in a moment. Yes, my tab life has improved. I'm trying to take better care of my computer. All right. So let's look at something else in Google Classroom. Since theoretically we have reviewed for Unit 1, I'm going to put review materials up here by unit. If you did the diagnostic exam and you said, hey, Unit 1 was great, Unit 2 not so much, then at the end, if you wanted to go back and look at the resources that I have in here for you over that particular unit, that would be great. So these are ordered from most important to least important because they redesigned the AP course this year. So what was important in the past may not necessarily be as important now. So if in a second, we're going to go over this document that says 4.1 Zoom class free response. Go ahead and open that up. We're going to work through this problem together here in a little bit. So the test is all free response, right? Some of the StatsMedic stuff is multiple choice. I would still recommend doing that just because the way their class is set up, it's going to cover all the topics. But whenever we meet together, we'll be doing free response questions so that we can maximize your free response score. So this first document up here at the top, all Unit 1 free response questions and solutions, couldn't preview file. Uh-oh. That's not what I wanted to see. View material. Open. This file is really big, and so that could be the problem that we're having. Let's try, not that. Let's try, can't preview. Help me out, can I download this or did I just break Google Classroom? Ah, here we go, download. Move, open a new window, let's try that. Ah, here we go, okay. So this is a bunch of free response questions over Unit 1. They're organized from new for this year and what is more closely aligned with what College Board wants you to know now. So here's number 1. Here's the problem. And then right underneath, so there's parts A, B, C, D. Right underneath, there's what the question was asking you to do. Here's the way to score it. So this is a big document because there's a lot of free response questions over Unit 1 over the year. Okay, I'm not saying you're going to have to do all of these for a grade because 1, I'm not allowed to take grades right now. But also this is a lot. So this is kind of an extra resource. I wanted to err on the side of giving you more material than you necessarily needed than the reverse where you were like, all right, I did a couple of things. Now, what should I do? Okay, so that's there for you. The other 2 are there for you to preview. Those are reviews that we've done in the past. So most important, second most important, this is kind of old stuff that Mrs. Reimer and I used in the past, but I would look at these free response questions most of all. Okay, other College Board questions or questions about what we're going to be doing going forward. Let's see. Some of you I haven't seen in a long time. It's just good to see your faces. I wish we were all in the same room. This is not the same, but it is what it is, right? How many of you, is this anybody's first Zoom time or have you guys done Zoom with your other teachers? First Zoom time, okay, so if you want to unmute yourself, that's in the bottom left. If you want to start the video, Alex, you're already on video, so you figured that out. Okay, so that's kind of general stuff. So let's look at that problem from Google Classroom, the one that says 4.1 Zoom class free response. And I'm going to switch over to a document camera. If at any point you can't see what you think I'm wanting you to see, then please let me know. Okay. Before we do this, one more thing. Did anybody have questions over any of the videos that you watched on the StatsMedic class? Questions about any of the multiple choice questions or the free response questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Feel free to unmute yourself. I trust you guys. I've told you this in the classroom before, right? I don't treat you guys like I treat my geometry students. So we're going to think about this curve that I know that all of you have seen a bajillion times and what we want to do with this curve. All right, and before we do that, there's a couple of special guests here. They're going to come around. It's nap time for this guy. This is Mrs. Schnitzius. Oh, Soren, say hi to all the people there. Say hi to all the people in statistics land. You see the papers? He's grabbing stuff and sticking it in his mouth, which is really cute. Love you. Everyone wave goodbye to Soren and tell him have a good nap. Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, so you want to flatten the curve, right? That's what everybody says. You've got the number of COVID-19 cases over here, and then you got the number of days since the COVID-19 outbreak happened. So this is without the social distancing that we're all practicing right now. And this is hopefully with social distancing. I hope you're not thinking, oh no, we're only going to talk about coronavirus. I'm sick of hearing about coronavirus. I kind of am too. So we're not only going to do coronavirus today, but every time I saw this in the news, I thought about you guys because I thought, hey, this looks a lot like what I've been telling them over and over again. So you've got two different normal distributions, both with different means. Okay, so this is when I'm going to unmute you guys. Obviously, we want this one, right? We don't want full hospitals and more people sick than there needs to be, okay? Which of these normal distributions has the greater standard deviation? I want to see everyone. I'm trying to unmute all of you, but if you know the answer to that, unmute yourself and chime in. Which one of these, A or B, has the greater standard deviation?
I don't know if it's just me, but all I'm seeing on your screen is like the Google Classroom.
Oh no,
Same.
that's not what I
Homepage.
want.
Here.
Okay, hold on.
Me too.
Stop share. Is that better? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Okay, that must have been extremely confusing. I'm sorry. Okay, so back up. Here's two different normal distributions, right? This is the curve of the number of COVID-19 cases without social distancing, and this is with social distancing. So, which one has the greater standard deviation? Hold on, I'm
B.
going too much background noise.
How big is the village we actually were? Got it. They call them villages. They all live in so
Okay.
it's what was your answer?
So which one has the greater standard deviation? A or B? B. B has the greater standard deviation, right? So that means that we want to increase the typical distance from the mean number of days that a person gets coronavirus since the coronavirus outbreak, right? So I know that everyone's been going around saying we want to flatten the curve, What we really want to do is increase the standard deviation. Every time you see that curve, I want you to think about that, okay? There's my hashtag that we can all try to trend. I have a Twitter, but I get on there and it's bad divisive news a lot of the time, and so I don't look at it as much as I could. Now let's say you don't remember that standard deviation measures the typical distance from the mean here. There's a formula chart that can help you see that. So we're going to look at the formula chart. If you didn't have your formula chart in your binder whenever we left school, that's up here on Google Classroom. You guys can see Google Classroom now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, good. So, hey, here's S of X, there's standard deviation. Okay, so here's the mean over here, 1 over n times the sum of all the values. So that's kind of shorthand for the mean, right? Standard deviation, I'm still doing 1 over n minus 1, that's close to 1 over n. I'm still adding a bunch of values together, but what is it that I'm adding? I'm adding all the x sub I minus x bars. I'm adding all the distance from the mean. So that's an important thing to remember about standard deviation. My guess is the test this year is going to be more about interpreting, more about explaining, less about crunching numbers, because 45 minutes isn't a lot of time to crunch a lot of numbers. So you're going to want to know what all these values from the formula chart mean. So with that in mind, let's look at the problem that you had. So in Google Classroom, go to 4.1 Zoom class-free response. You guys can see the problem there, right? The manager of a vacation resort.
Yes.
Yes, okay, good, thank you. So the manager of a vacation resort believes that the ages of adult visitors to the resort can be modeled by a normal distribution. The manager surveyed a random sample of 765 visitors and recorded their age. Summary of the responses is shown in the frequency table, where X represents the age of the visitor. So the first thing that they want us to do is construct a histogram of the distribution of ages. So let's switch over to the document camera. I'm sorry that I'm still a little clunky with this. Hey, there we go. So let's draw this out. And I'm going to move this cable because that would be annoying if I were you. It's annoying for me too. There we go. Okay. So on other computer, I've got this problem so I can see it. So what kind of variable is this? Their age in years. Is it a categorical variable or a quantitative variable?
Quantitative.
Quantitative variable. Quantitative, that's right. Because we can average ages and it makes sense, right? So we're going to have our first class be from 20 to 30. I'm going to scale this in units of 50. There are 160 people that are at least 20 years old and less than 30 years old. Now, histograms can teach us an important lesson right now in this time of coronavirus. Where does the next histogram bar go? Another way I can ask that question is there a gap between the two bars?
No.
No gap. Touching, yes, touching. Very, very good, Samantha. So the next bar is going to be at 130. And then we have 50, 40 to 50. There's exactly 100 people. And I did a not so great job of drawing the scale. 50 to 60, 115. And 60 to 70, 125. Histograms are very bad at social distancing. We do not want to be like histograms right now. We want to stay at least 6 feet away from everyone. Okay, there we go. Sadly, that looks kind of nice. It could be more perfect. It has some of what we need, but what else do we need?
Labels.
Labels, that's right. So we want to put frequency over here. We want to put age in years down here. Anybody else see anything that we need to add in there?
A title.
A title, man, what a great idea. So what's the context? This is age of adult visitors to a resort. Hopefully not the resort on Miami Beach where the idiot 20-somethings were all partying for spring break, even though they were supposed to be social distancing, right? Disappointing, my goodness. I can't even believe it. So now they want us to write a few sentences to describe the distribution of ages of the adult visitors to the resort. So when you were watching the StatsMedic videos, they had a different strategy for knowing how to do this than we did in class. When you think about describing a distribution, what should you be thinking? Cuss. Cuss, that is right. So C, center. I can kind of guesstimate where the median is in here. I can also kind of guesstimate where the mean is. We're going to look at reviewing how to find the median real quick. So it tells us that we have, because the median is going to be the 50th percentile. So if I've got 765 people, let's see, I half that, so that is what, 382.5. So I'm basically looking for the 383rd person, right? Well, I got 160 here, I got 130 here, that's 290. All right, I go 100 more. So I know that the median is somewhere here in between 40 and 50 years. I can't say this is exactly 40. I can't say this is exactly 50. So we want to ES in the context, the median age of adult visitors to this resort is at least 40 years, but less than 50 years. In the video, instead of doing cuss, they did socks. Shape, outlier, center spread. We do cuss because that sounds more edgy, right? What do S and S stand for? They represent shape. What shape would you say this distribution has?
Roughly symmetric.
Very good. So I like that ly word. That's a good adverb. That's nice. The shape, and they said this in the video, once we establish context up here, we don't have to go into the same detail every single time. So the shape of the distribution of ages is roughly symmetric. We watched Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events on Netflix last week for the first time. That seems like a movie that came out right in some of y'all's sweet spots for cool movies from your childhood. So we thought it was neat that the ant was so obsessed with grammar. Adverb, right? That's not an adjective. Roughly symmetric. Okay, U and S. So S is going to be more pertinent to what we have going on here. The maximum age is what? What is the exact value of the maximum age?
Can we tell that?
Because like it could be a lot of things, right? It could be 75, it could be 74, it could be 72. Unless they give us a list of the actual values, we don't know what it is, right? All we know is that it's at least 70 years, but less than 80 years. And we can do the same thing for the minimum age. The minimum age is at least 20 years, but less than 30 years. So I think that was Ellie that said that. Ellie said, hey, we don't know exactly what the value of the highest age is. So the value of the spread that they recommended using was the range. But since we don't know exactly what the maximum age is and we don't know exactly what the minimum age is, all we can say is that the range of ages is between, well, what if the oldest person was 70 and the youngest person was close to 30? Well, that would give us a range of 70 minus 30 would be 40 years, right? It's between 40 years. And then you could go the other direction. Then you could go the other direction and say, hey, what if this person was as old as possible? That's 80 years. What if this person was as young as possible? That's 20 years. So then your highest possible range would be 60 years. So there's your center, shape, and spread. Unusual features. Do we see any outliers or gaps in there? I don't see anything there, so we're just going to say no outliers or gaps. So that's basically what you want to do for describing a distribution. If we had two distributions that we were comparing, we would want to be sure that we used more descriptive words. This median is higher in this group than the other group. This standard deviation is smaller in this group compared to the other group. When you have two distributions, it's less important that you give exact values and more important that you are comparing. Any questions there before we tackle part C? Everyone good? Is everyone good? Where's the chat? No questions in the chat? Okay. So C says, does the histogram provide convincing evidence that the surveyed ages come from a normal distribution? Well, we can compare what we see in these two normal distributions to what we see in this histogram. Normal distributions are unimodal, one peak. They are perfectly symmetrical if it's a perfect normal distribution. So thumbs up or thumbs down, normal distribution? What if I unmute you? Normal distribution or no?
No.
No, no way, not even close, right? It's embarrassing how much this is not a normal distribution for this distribution, okay? So we can say since the distribution has more observations, I guess we can be specific, ages further from the mean and close to the mean, the distribution of ages is not normal. And I'm looking to see in their answer key if they had anything else that they said. What's another thing that we remember about normal distributions? What's the rule that normal distributions follow? Remember my ridiculous cheerleading routine? One standard deviation.
It's like the 65, 95 something rule.
So 60 something percent, 95%, 99.7%, good. So this is 68%. So in other words, you're supposed to have more of the distribution within one standard deviation of the mean, and that's just not the case here. From here to here, there's actually fewer people than there are from here to here than there are from here to here. Any questions? That's to kind of dip our toes back into the statistics pool. That was really all that I was wanting to go over today. I want to respect y'all's time and keep these, I thought about calculating how many class periods we had missed and then multiplying that by 45 and making this Zoom meeting that many minutes long, but that didn't seem very respectful of y'all. I appreciate you guys being here. Really quickly before we go, any other questions? If y'all come up with ideas about what we could do during this time or other ways that I could help you review for the exam, or your other teachers for your AP classes are doing something that you would like for us to do, we can just please send me a remind message, send me an email. I'm here for you. I want you to be successful. This is extremely strange meeting like this, but it is what it is. Okay, last thing, since this is such a trying time for our nation and our world, and since we need words of hope, and since some of you are taking the AP US History exam this year, and you might need some historical refreshers, and since the STAR US History test was canceled, and I know you juniors, you're like really broken up over that and you want some extra history knowledge. I wrote a speech, an inspirational speech that I'm going to deliver to you for like a minute. It's very short, okay? In the accents of an important US historical figure, all right? And if I do a good enough job, then you guys will be able to tell me at the end who the important historical figure was. Okay, here we go. This coronavirus has tested our resolve, but it cannot shake our hearts. Every day across this great land, we are seeing and hearing new stories of the greatness of the American spirit. Indeed, all across the globe, we are being beckoned as humans into a place where we forget our petty differences and instead unite as one humanity, coming together in love, peace, and solidarity, aiming to see this invisible enemy defeated. But this task is not only a global one, it is also profoundly personal. Our united vision cannot be reached unless each one of us does our part to strive for victory. And so I tell you, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do to increase the standard deviation of the number of days since the COVID-19 outbreak for each new case. All right, cheers, applause, applause, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, who was that? It was JFK. Good job, Elijah. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Also Mayor Quimby from The Simpsons a little bit. Okay, I love you guys. I miss you guys. I'll let you know when we're going to do this again soon. Reach out to me if you have any questions, okay? Bye. Bye, everybody. I am growing out the beard, yes. Mr. Schnitzius is very patient and understanding, and she likes it.
Mr. Cicius,
Yes, yes, yes.
I had a question about like how 5th and 6th weeks grade are gonna work.
Yeah.
If,
Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say if you know, or if you
I know
have
very little. I know that there will be grades. I know that they're going to decide something, and they've like batted around some different ideas, but no one really knows much of anything right now. It says in the math department meeting, I asked a question this morning, like it says in focus, the end of the 5th, 6 weeks is April 9th. What should we tell the students about that? And they said, wait until we've decided something. So, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
I wish I had more to tell you, but I don't, so. Yep.
That's fine.
Yes, Olivia says, I think it is pass or fail and won't affect the GPA. That is one possibility. I don't know if that is for sure what's going to happen, but it could
You know
be
what kind of alternatives they're thinking of to that? Like what other
two
options?
pass
are-
fail, like besides pass fail. The pass fail one
Yeah.
is the one that I've heard.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much because I don't know. I could
Okay.
speculate if you want me to. We could write down all the integers from 1 to 100 and then put them on identical slips of paper and then put them into a hat and then draw them out, and then that could be your grade. But I don't think there would be a lot of angry parents if we did that. So it
Sounds
probably
fair.
won't be that. Yeah.
Sounds very fair.
Yeah.
I'm up for that.
Any other questions? You guys stay safe. Be healthy, okay? Reach out to me if you need anything.
Thank-
Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Schmitzius.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good to see y'all.
Bye.